All right, so today we're diving deep into something that might seem super basic, but is actually really fascinating.
Oh, yeah?
Greetings and introductions in English.
It's like the foundation of all communication.
Exactly. We're going to break down everything from like the different types of greetings.
To the subtle nuances that can make or break a first impression,
So if you're ready to level up your English skills,
and unlock the secrets of smooth and confident interactions.
stick around for this deep dive.
Absolutely.
So I think we can all agree that greetings and introductions are like pretty universal, right?
Oh, for sure.
Every culture has its own way of acknowledging someone when they meet them.
It's like this fundamental human need to connect.
Yeah, but what I find so interesting is that even though the need to greet is universal,
The way we do it,
can be so different.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Like, think about those elaborate greetings you see in some cultures, with all the bowing and hand gestures.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos of those. They're amazing.
And even in English, the level of formality can vary a lot.
Right, like you wouldn't greet your boss the same way you'd greet your best friend.
Exactly. Like, imagine saying, "What's up?" to your CEO in a board meeting.
Ooh, I don't think that would go over too well.
Probably not.
But seriously though, why is this whole greeting thing such a big deal?
Well, think about it. A greeting is often the very first impression you make on someone.
True.
It sets the tone for the entire interaction.
So it's not just about being polite.
It's about communication.
It's about strategy.
Exactly. Like, research has shown that people who use warmer greetings, like good morning,
Mhm.
instead of just hi, are actually perceived as more trustworthy and approachable.
Really? I had no idea there was science behind it.
Oh, there's a whole field of study on this stuff.
Wow, so it's like we can actually use greetings to influence how people see us.
Absolutely. It's all about understanding the subtle cues and using them to your advantage.
I like it. So let's break down some of the most common English greetings.
Okay, so first up, we've got the formal greetings.
Like good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Exactly. Those are perfect for professional settings, showing respect to elders, or just when you want to be a bit more formal.
Got it. Now, what about the more informal greetings?
So we have hi, hey, and of course the classic what's up.
Yes, what's up? Always a tricky one for me.
Yeah, it can be a bit tricky.
Like, when is it okay to use it? And when is it, like, way too casual?
Great question. So hey is generally fine for casual settings with friends or colleagues you know well,
Okay, that makes sense.
but what's up can
Mhm.
be a bit more tricky. It's very informal and can come across as too casual, even disrespectful in some situations.
Like, I wouldn't use it in a job interview, right?
Probably not the best choice.
Yeah, I can see that. So it seems like it all comes down to being mindful of the context
Right, the relationship you have with the person you're greeting.
and the overall vibe of the situation.
Exactly. It's like choosing the right tool for the job.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
Exactly. You need the right tool for the right situation.
Makes sense. Now, once we've navigated the greeting,
The next step is
introducing ourselves.
exactly. And this can be a little awkward sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it can be. It's like you don't want to come on too strong.
Right, you want to find that balance.
So what are some good ways to ask someone to introduce themselves?
Well, there's some classic go-to phrases you can use,
Yeah.
like, what's your name? That's always a safe bet.
Okay, simple and straightforward.
Exactly.
What about something a bit more specific?
Sure, you could try where are you from or what do you do?
Okay, I like those. They can lead to more interesting conversations.
Exactly. But here's the key.
What's that?
Reciprocity is crucial.
Oh, you mean like if you're asking someone about themselves, you should also be ready to share something about yourself.
Precisely. It can't be a one-way street.
Yeah, I've definitely been in situations where someone's just grilling me with questions.
And you're like, okay, what about you?
Exactly. It's like, let's make this a conversation, not an interrogation.
Right, it should be a back and forth.
So, like, how would you approach someone at, say, a conference?
Well, I might start by saying something like, hi, I'm really enjoying this presentation. What's your name?
And then I might say, hi, I'm host speaker. It's great to meet you. Yeah, the presentation is really fascinating. What line of work are you in?
And I could say, oh, I'm an expert speaker's profession. How about you?
Perfect. See, that flowed so naturally
Right. It's all about using those phrases as building blocks.
to create a real connection.
Exactly. Now, here's another layer to all of this.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's not just about the words we say.
But how we say them.
Precisely. Nonverbal cues play a huge role.
You mean like body language and eye contact?
Exactly. In many English-speaking cultures, making eye contact and smiling are really important.
I've noticed that.
It shows you're engaged and interested.
But isn't that different in some cultures?
Oh, absolutely. Cultural differences definitely come into play.
Like, I've heard that in some cultures, direct eye contact can be seen as rude.
Yeah, in some Asian cultures, for example, it's more common to avert your gaze slightly as a sign of respect.
Wow, it's amazing how these things can vary so much.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah, it is. Now, what about physical touch?
Ah, good question.
Like, is a handshake always appropriate?
Well, it depends, the context, of course.
Right.
In a formal setting, like a business meeting, a handshake is usually expected.
Makes sense.
But in a more casual setting, like meeting a friend at a bar, a wave or a nod might be more appropriate.
So again, it's all about reading the situation.
Exactly. You wouldn't want to high-five your CEO, would you?
Probably not a good idea.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but I'm wondering, how can we go from just knowing this information to actually using it confidently?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is, and the key is practice, practice, practice.
The more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Exactly. It's like learning a new dance move.
At first, it's all awkward and clunky.
But with practice, you become smooth and graceful.
I love that analogy. So how can we get that practice in?
Well, one great way is to find a language partner.
You mean like someone who's also learning English?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a native speaker who's willing to help you practice.
I've heard of language exchange programs.
Yes, there are tons of online platforms and groups where you can connect with people from all over the world,
It's like having a global network of language buddies.
right at your fingertips.
That's awesome. What if I can't find a language partner, though?
Well, there's another technique that can be really helpful.
Okay, tell me more.
Record yourself speaking English.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, it might feel a bit strange at first,
I can imagine.
but it's incredibly valuable.
So, like, film myself having a conversation.
Exactly. It allows you to see and hear yourself from an outside perspective.
You can spot those little things you might not notice otherwise.
Exactly, like your pronunciation, your intonation, even your body language,
It's like having your own personal coach.
right there in your pocket.
And the best part is, I don't need any fancy equipment.
Just your smartphone.
I can totally do that. Okay, so we've practiced with a partner, we've analyzed our recordings. What's the final step in taking this from practice to real life conversations?
Well, it's all about finding opportunities to use your new skills in authentic settings.
Like taking your language skills out for a test drive.
Exactly.
But what if I don't have a lot of opportunities to interact with English speakers?
That's okay. There are still plenty of ways to immerse yourself in the language.
I mean, there's so much out there.
Right. Oh, tons.
Like we can watch movies and TV shows,
Listen to music and podcasts.
read books and articles.
There's a whole world of English content at our fingertips.
It's like we can create our own little English bubble no matter where we are.
Exactly. And the more you expose yourself to the language, the more natural it will start to feel.
I totally agree. But I have to admit, I still get a little nervous sometimes.
I'll get it.
Like when I'm trying to use English in a real conversation.
It's totally normal to feel that way.
It's just, I always worry about making mistakes.
You know what?
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Even you.
Especially me.
Oh, come on.
Seriously. It's part of the learning process.
I guess you're right.
In fact, mistakes are actually valuable learning opportunities.
Okay. How so?
Well, they help you pinpoint the areas where you need to improve.
So it's like getting feedback in real time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And the more you practice and make those mistakes, the less you'll make them in the future.
I like that perspective. It takes the pressure off.
For sure. It's not about being perfect. It's about communicating.
That's so true. As long as I can get my message across, that's what matters.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there
Make those mistakes.
and learn from them.
You know, earlier we were talking about the different levels of formality in greetings.
Right. Formal, informal.
Could we dive a little deeper into that?
Sure. So as we mentioned, we have those formal greetings like good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
The classics.
Exactly. They're perfect for professional settings, showing respect to elders, or just creating that sense of formality.
And then we have the more casual greetings like, hi, hey, and of course, what's up?
Right. And it's not just the words themselves. It's also your tone of voice, body language, and overall demeanor.
So like in a formal setting, I'd want to project professionalism.
Maybe with a firm handshake, a polite smile.
But in a casual setting, I can be more relaxed.
Exactly. Maybe a wave, a hug, or a more laid-back greeting.
So how do I know which level of formality is appropriate?
Well, it all comes down to context.
Like the setting the relationship and the purpose of the interaction.
Precisely. If you're meeting your new boss for the first time, formal is the way to go.
But if I'm grabbing drinks with friends, casual is fine.
Exactly. And if you're ever unsure, it's always better to err on the side of formality.
Okay, good to know. It's like better safe than sorry.
Exactly. Now, what about greetings like hello and hi?
Those seem to fall somewhere in between.
You're right. Those are what we call neutral greetings.
They're like the chameleons of greetings.
They can adapt to almost any situation.
So if in doubt, a simple hello is always a good choice.
Absolutely. It's polite, respectful, and unlikely to offend anyone.
And I can always adjust my tone later on if needed.
Exactly. Now, one more thing to keep in mind.
Okay, what's that?
Cultural differences.
Right. Because what's considered polite in one culture might be rude in another.
Exactly. Like in some cultures, it's customary to bow, while in others it's a handshake.
It's so important to be aware of those nuances.
It shows respect, and it helps you avoid any awkward misunderstandings.
Absolutely. So to sum it all up,
Mastering greetings and introductions in English is all about
choosing the right level of formality
being mindful of nonverbal cues.
and practicing those skills in real-life situations. This deep dive has been so insightful.
I agree. It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
It's amazing how much depth there is to something as seemingly simple as saying hello.
Right. And remember, it's not just about the words themselves. It's about connecting with people,
Building relationships.
making a positive first impression.
So to all our listeners out there,
Keep practicing, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a simple hello.
it could be the start of something amazing.
Absolutely.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, happy learning.